The dimensions of this sign are it's 9 feet high, 12 feet wide. It will be lighted, and it will include an electronic changeable message sign at the bottom to advertise upcoming events, games, tournaments, that type of information. The next sign that you're seeing is the logo on the outside of the building in the upper right-hand portion. The logo will be about 18 feet across and almost 10.5 feet from top to bottom. And the next slide will show you sort of what it will look like. This is not to scale, but we wanted to give you an idea of where on that building it would go. Here's a close-up of the logo, and you'll notice that at the bottom it does include a public-private partnership with Stafford County.
Who did our logo work?
I believe this was ESM, Eastern Sports Management.
Looks nice.
As I mentioned, the sign will be on the exterior of the building. It will be lighted, and it will also include the text at the bottom, which I had mentioned about the partnership with Stafford County. Now we're going inside the building. This is a draft of the Wall of Fame exhibit, and I'm just going to talk about the exhibit in general terms, and then I will go into detail on each panel. The overall width of this case, and it is a wooden case, is 12 feet wide, and the exhibit graphic behind it measures about 17.5 feet wide. The case height is 8 feet tall, and the signage above measures about 11 feet wide, the Jeff Rouse Women's Sports Center and the Stafford Sports Wall of Fame. And it will begin just about 8 inches from the ceiling. You'll notice the 2 panels on the side. They will be enclosed in plexiglass, and that's to protect some of the artifacts that we have in there. One of them is Jeff Rouse's Olympic jacket, and then we also have a football from Torrey Smith, a signed football, I believe, and then pictures as well as newspaper articles. You don't see it on this slide, but later on in the presentation, a quote from Jeff Rouse, 2 quotes actually, will be on each side of that case. And then at the bottom, the brown wooden bars are actually shelves, and they will contain text that describes what is in each panel, what is in each case. And the casework is made of birch to match the lobby desk. And again, this is not to scale, but we wanted to give you an idea of where it would go. It's just inside the lobby to the right, and this is what it will look like on that wall. It will be 3 large panels attached to the wall. The center panel will focus on Jeff Rouse, and the additional panels will include other Stafford Olympians and pro athletes.
Mr. Mildy?
Were all of these people born in Stafford?
Not born in Stafford. They are from Stafford. They have a connection either through graduating from a high school in Stafford or being a resident here.
Then why there's at least one missing?
Right, Mr. Milday, and what we have later on in the presentation is we know this list is not inclusive. We are asking for the community's help to let us know who we don't have on there. We did research, the artists did some research, but we do want to make sure that we are going to have space to add future athletes and people that we've missed.
You wouldn't have to do much research. Just have to just sit here and listen to me talk over the last 2 years. You would have heard me mention her name about 15 or 20 times. So.
And she's actually one of our Olympians. She is featured on this display.
Oh.
She's actually one of the Olympic coaches now. So just to kind of put that out there.
Right.
Okay, so this is an incomplete list, and there's another wall that has another. Okay, thank you.
Right, and I'll go into that as we get farther into the presentation.
This has Olympians on it. The ones I'm looking at. This list here has a bunch of Olympians, and she's just not on it. So.
If you're looking straight at the exhibit, the left case will feature Olympians, and Arlene Lemus is on that, and then the right case will feature pro athletes.
I'm only speaking to what we're all looking at right now. It says featured athletes, and it lists a bunch of Olympians, and she's just not there. That's why I asked the question. So she's
not listed there, but that doesn't mean she's not included.
Is there anybody else that's not listed on the list of featured athletes?
I think some of our other Olympians are probably, we don't have all the Olympians on there.
Some of them, okay. I don't understand. I'll figure it out. Thank you.
Okay. So now I'm going to talk about the first panel. This is again, on the Wall of Fame. This is the far left panel. This includes Jeff Rouse's Olympic jacket and medal, not the actual medal, just an artist's rendition of that, and the list of other Stafford Olympians, their accomplishments and photos. And what we've included, there is an article on Stafford's Olympians that ran in the Freelance Star, and there's information about each Stafford Olympian, including Jeff Rouse, Mark Lindsay, Arlene Lemus, and our newest Olympian, Thomas Baker, who won a gold medal in powerlifting in the 2015 World Summer Games of the Special Olympics. The write-up on each Olympian includes the medals they won, the year in which they won the medals, their link to Stafford, whether it is a Stafford High School or a Stafford business that they have started, such as in Arlene Lemus's case. And we've also included photos of those Olympians. Here's a close-up of the panel. I don't know if you can actually read everything that's on there, but just to give you an idea, there are a mixture of pictures and text and information about each Olympian. The cartoon was something that we found. This is from the Potomac News, and it captures Stafford's participation in the 1992 Games at Barcelona. Just to give you an idea of how many we had, I think there were 5 Olympians compared to some of the other countries. This is the center panel. This panel focuses on Jeff Rouse and includes his bio and accomplishments, as well as his medals are portrayed or displayed there. We also have his presidential letters and photos. And the presidential letters are from President Clinton and President Reagan. And here's a close-up of that panel. This is the third panel on the right. This one showcases the pro athletes from Stafford. Now, what is important to note about this is that this is not a permanent part of the background. The athletes are displayed on 5x8 cards on plexiglass trays that are mounted to the wall. This will allow us to move them if we want to and add future athletes, such as the one Mrs. Moore mentioned. The cards can be removed and replaced. But the cards that are up there now have the pictures of the athletes, a high school from which they graduated, the year they graduated, and some of their other athletic accomplishments. And here's where we are asking. We know that this does not include every Stafford athlete out there, so we are asking the community for help to let us know who did we miss and give us the information, and we will work with the board to see how they should be displayed.
Mr. Kavler.
Before we ask that question, I think we need to have the discussion on the criteria that must be met before we place names here. And we haven't had that discussion yet. So I think we're putting the cart ahead of the horse here a little bit. So I know there are people out there who deserve to be in this, but we have to vet this a little bit, and and I know you're going to go on and tell me about the selection panel and all that kind of stuff, but I wouldn't put out there, tell us who we missed quite yet, because I think we need to make the parameters known what they are. Pro athlete, well, you know, there's a lot of levels of pro athletes, and we probably have quite a lot of pro athletes at one time or another in this county, particularly in baseball, with the many different minor league levels involved. And, you know, in some sports, you don't go pro. Amateur status is as high as you can go. I mean, you look at probably the greatest golfer ever, Bobby Jones, and he retained amateur status throughout, you know. But so we have to pin this down, you know, for the sports that don't go pro, you know, is the criteria. Certainly Olympic athlete is the ultimate, I would think. But do we go Division I All-American in college as another criteria for some sports? So there's a lot to consider here, and I think we need to really vet this before we start opening up the book here.
Yes, sir. And as you mentioned, there will be a little bit of information later on in the presentation that will hopefully help the board toward that direction. The next slide here, these are the two end panels that will go on the larger case in the main lobby, and these will include quotes by Jeff Rouse. They will be etched into the wood and covered by the plexiglass. The next slides, I will be talking about the Mark Lindsay display that will be in the pool area. This is a glass display case that will house a banner that was flown in the bleachers at the 1992 Olympics in Barcelona. And there's a plaque at the bottom that includes the description of what that banner is about. And from what we understand, there were many Stafford residents who signed that banner before Mr. Lindsay went to the Olympics. Here's a close-up of what that plaque says, so that people who are visiting the facility will be able to understand what that banner is about. And I'm told there are many names that will be familiar to a lot of Stafford residents now. This next slide, this is the mural that will go alongside the glass case. It is about 4 by 7. It will be displayed on the wall by the glass case that has the banner inside. And it includes Mr. Lindsay's accomplishments, photos, a newspaper article that lists his career highlights. And there's also a quote from the International Swimming Hall of Fame that also talks about his career highlights. So we wanted to give you an idea of where that glass case would go. We had taken Mrs. Lindsay to the facility and wanted her to see what it looked like, and she had suggested that perhaps it could go right inside the entrance to the pool area. So the banner would be posted on the wall, and the glass case would go right where you see the glass case indicated. And that would enable visitors to the pool to walk around both sides of the banner and see the front and the back. And again, this is just to give you an idea of where that glass case would be. We also wanted to, talk a little bit about the diving well that is currently under construction. Back in September, the board approved having the diving well named after Mark Lindsay, and the artist came up with 2 possibilities for the signage back there. This is one idea. This would be mounted to the wall on metal strips. It would have black lettering, and the size would be about 2 by 8. Again, that's not to scale. It's just to give you an idea of what that would look like. And here's the second option that we could put out there, everything, all the words side by side. This one, again, mounted to the wall on metal strips with black lettering, and the size would be about a 2 by 16. And that's an idea of what it would look like on the diving well wall. So how were the athletes selected for display for this particular this version of the mural? They were are a resident of Stafford, Olympic athletes, or individuals who participated in a national or world competition, or individuals who were selected or drafted to a pro team. The artist did work with media representatives and staff and was able to research a lot of this information. Yes, ma'am.
The selected or drafted,
Yes.
that's going to create some problems because you can get drafted to a team and not make the team. So just something to
Okay.
think about.
We'll make a note of that.
In the NFL, the only people who get automatic on a team is like the first 10 draft picks or something. So just something to think about. Okay.
So I've talked about what was done to sort of get to where we are today with the mural, but there have been many questions and discussions about recognizing future athletes. So staff would like to recommend that the board consider the creation of a selection committee for future athletes. This committee could come up with criteria for inclusion on the Wall of Fame. We could include members of the Board of Supervisors, Parks and Recreation Commission members, high school coaches or middle school coaches, volunteers from the community as well. We think that this would give the community a chance to weigh in on who should be featured and why, so that the athletes featured are truly our future hometown heroes. And Mr. Chairman, that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions.
Can I go back to the previous slide just for a second? Oh.
Next one.
Computer, please.
Yeah, this one right here. Having talked to several board members, I think, Mr. Cavalier was kind of hitting on something. Instead of picking a list of people, if we focus on criteria, then whoever fits the criteria just automatically gets selected and nobody feels left out, or you don't have to have a committee of people that feel bad for missing someone. If we can figure out how to get to that, here's the criteria, and then on an annual basis, we look at new names and do they meet or not meet the criteria. I think that would get rid of some of the angst that we're trying to prevent with this. Now, how we get to that criteria, I'm not sure, and I think that's kind of a board discussion. So if there's no more questions, it's probably a good time to talk about, how we see that moving forward. Is that a couple of people from this board put that criteria together with staff? Do we want to open it up to people, that's listed here, Parks and Rec Commission? There's no good answer right now, but we do need to figure it out. Yes. We need to figure it out soon, because when we do the opening here in a couple months, we would like to have something on the wall and not have it be a big TBD here. So, any ideas?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to be a part of I think maybe we set up a subcommittee of some sort here, perhaps, at least initially, to have something for the next board meeting so that people could look at it. I mean, sit down with staff, and having us all 7 do it at one time is going to be tough.
I think you need to be, since you're the expert on the NFL draft process.
I don't know about that, but. And we did talk about at the retreat, bringing in the Lindsay family or somebody from the 3 big athletes that we're already putting up there. So Jeff Rouse, Mark Lindsay, and Arlene Lemus, having somebody from their either family, friends themselves, come and help us as well.
I think that was when we were more trying to pick the people, but I think now we're just trying to, from a technical standpoint, just define for every sport that we can think of, what are those criteria? And then that'll lead us to the name of, the list of names. We have room for a third. We're allowed to have 3. If anybody wants to do that. Ms. Bonke? Okay, so I think we have our working party and their mission is defined. So